tpenow.com to book your free discovery call.
Si estás interesado en mejorar tu liderazgo y aprender cómo mejorar tu equipo, tu comunicación, ve a la página web tpenow.com y podrás hacer clic en el enlace de una llamada de descubrimiento y te podemos conectar con alguien que hará un entrenamiento comprensivo contigo.
We're super excited. Ashley and I are super excited to join the TPE team, and we're excited to be your coach. So go to tpe.com and select your coach, get a call. We're super excited about that.
Yeah, and also join our Leader Square. It's a community of leaders where you can dive in and learn about different content, different resources, all with our TPE family. So you can join in to our Leader Square community.
Yeah, we're going to be posting stuff consistently. Actually, every single day, we're going to be posting different leadership quotes, leadership content. So we're super excited about the Leadership Square.
What's up, TPE family? It's time for us to get a little better with the Daily Dose of Leadership with Alex Seal. Let's go!
New TPE.
What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another daily dose of leadership, and this time we have a very special guest. We have TPE's very own, and I don't know if I can lead with that exactly. I'm gonna say we have Baytown's very own, Javonna Roach. She is one of our beloved coaches here at TPE. Someone who I recognize has a ton of experience, a great leadership sense, and just an overall great person. Javonna, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Alex. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. And so today on today's dose, we're going to be tackling the subject of taking risk as leaders. It is important for us to consider what risk taking looks like for each individual leader. That varies from person to person. And Javonna has a very unique perspective on this. But before we jump into that topic, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. Those of you may have noticed the channel name has changed to the Pivot Experience TPE. So if you tag us, it's at TPE Now on YouTube, and so that matches our Instagram handle. So we've got some synergy there. And so without further ado, Javonna, so take us away. Let's talk about risk taking as leaders.
All right, and just to introduce a little bit of who I am, Alex did a little bit of that, and I've actually been on the TPE. Used to be the old. What did you call it before, Alex?
No, this is what it's always been since you recorded about a year ago, a little over a year now, since you recorded on that episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's the same. Got it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yes, ma'am. Yeah.
What episode is this? 100 and.
This is going to be 175.
Wow, 175. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not a leadership guru. I'm always learning. But I have a lot of knowledge about leadership, probably about half as much as Alex. But I'm excited to be on the podcast today. And I'm also really excited to be a part of the TPE family. So I wanted to say that.
Awesome. We're glad to have you.
All right. So a little bit about risk taking. So this has kind of been a topic lately that I've run across probably at least 10 podcasts, and they just kind of kept popping up about different leadership podcasts that I listen to about risk taking. And the reason that I feel like risk taking is so important is, I don't know if y'all have ever heard when they talk about if you do the same thing over and over again. What's that saying, Alex? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's I guess we're talking about insanity.
Yeah, insanity.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And without risk taking, I feel like that's insanity. You're going to do the same thing over and over again. But in order to get a different result, sometimes you have to take a risk. Actually, most of the time that you have to take a risk. And so you never really know what will happen unless you take the risk. And there's been lots of times in my leadership experiences where I've taken some risks and they've cost the company money. I've taken some risks and the result I wanted definitely didn't happen. I've taken some really great risks in my leadership journey and in my life where some really great things have happened. And so I think taking risks in business and in life are super important. But I will say, with where I currently lead at, I have a lot of leaders who struggle with taking risks. And I think there's a lot of reasons why people struggle with taking risks. I think specifically confidence. Well, what if I don't know? Or what if the outcome that I think is going to happen doesn't happen? Or what if I cost the company money? Or what if I lose my job? I mean, that's a real big question that a lot of my leaders are like, well, if I don't get a great result, could I lose my job? And so I think a lot of leaders today struggle with taking risks. Do you see that a lot, Alex?
Yeah, I do think so. I feel like we live in the Google era where I think a lot of times, I guess just the art of risk taking isn't as prevalent. You know, you don't have to take as many risks because you have access to so much information. And so I think that sometimes that's what fuels the reluctancy of a lot of our younger leaders, particularly to take risk. And I think the other thing too, and I don't know if where this lands with you, I feel like when we were in their age, there was less barriers between us and who was the authority. Like, you know, so like back in the day, it could have been you, the operator, then you, and you were taking a lot of risk at 25. Nowadays, it's the operator, you, then the leader who is tasked to take the risk. And so I think sometimes that lid in some regard can be the thing that stifles. And I try to be cognizant of that, like to not take away from a person's opportunity to make a risk. Now, here's the hard part. I know that, you know, my operator is going to come to me to look for the result. It's going to come to me to say, hey, why did we let this happen? But if we can frame it to say, hey, we're trying to let a person explore their leadership and make some calls, then we can see past it. But I see it all the time, though. There's some people who they're stifled by those reasons.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Like, we just didn't have as much information back then. Like, there wasn't this, like, let me Google it and see how many people have done this before, or what are all the options. Like, we just didn't have as much information at our disposal. And so I think that was part of the reason that risk taking for us was a little bit easier. It was like, well, I don't really know what the outcome will be. I don't really know, you know, if it'll be successful or not, but hey, let's try it and see what happens. And I think a lot of systems, really great systems and processes, are born out of risk taking. I've seen it specifically in the QSR industry, where we've taken some risks for the brand that we work for, and you see other brands now trying to do the same thing because those risks were taken. So I think it's super important. But I have a couple of things. If you struggle with taking risk, and I think if you struggle with confidence in taking risk, a couple of things I would say. First is start small. Like, you don't have to take this really big risk. So you can start with something that is, you know, somewhat small, and see how it plays out. And then I think the second thing around that is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I have a client right now that I'm working with, and I have said that to that client, I don't know how many times. I was like, you've got to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think we live in a world where, like, we focus on comfort, and taking risks 100% uncomfortable. And so I think kind of putting that in your head of like, man, I'm going to get uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable with the risk, that is okay, but still do it. And then I think the third thing that's pretty key in taking a risk is failures don't define you. I've heard it put this way, FAIL. So F is first, A is attempt, I is in, and L is learning. So FAIL, to fail, that's your first attempt in learning. So when you're taking a risk, it is okay to fail. That's not going to define your leadership. And I think a lot of times we think it defines our leaderships when we make, you know, we take some risks and we fail. And I know for me, in those moments, I'm like, oh my goodness, am I a great leader? Can I do this? I mean, we all have those moments, especially when we fail at certain things. But I don't think that you can let that define your leadership. I actually think that you say, okay, what do I need to do differently? And then you make some tweaks to it, change it, do something a little bit different, and then you'll see success happen. Have you seen that in your journey as a leader?
All the time. And I think particularly now for me, in this current role, I mean, and you might have experienced this too, where you have like kind of turnover at the top, you know, where you might have built a relationship with a leader or a director. They understand how you work, you understand how they work, and they took time. They took them learning what risks to take, what risks not to take, and then you get new people in, and then they're trying to put their thumbprint on the business, and you've already kind of made some things happen. And I feel like for me, when I take risk now, I have to know that it's going to come with a bit of ridicule, a little bit, not ridicule, but when you start to, because I feel like, you know, and I think I can say this for you too, Javonna, we try to do things above status quo. I think we try to do things with a high level of excellence and a high level of challenge. So I think one of the values we talk about is being competitive. And I think in being competitive, it involves you taking a risk because you wanted to go, all right, well, we did this yesterday. How can we be better today than we were yesterday? And I think when you do that enough, when you approach the day enough, or approach your craft enough with that mindset, you're gonna be forced to take a risk. Because if you come in 30 days in a row, 60 days in a row, focusing on getting better each day, something's going to buckle around you. A system, you're going to add more people. You're going to start to max out capacity. And when you start to do that, you're going to recognize, man, we got to take a risk over here. We want to do something that we've never done before, that we don't know is going to work. In theory, it should work. On paper, it works, but we got to see it in action. So no, all the time. I definitely deal with that on a frequent basis.
Well, and getting better, you said competitive. I think one other value I look at that I would say that both of us also have is being curious. And I think that's a key component of risk taking, is being curious to, hey, what if I do this? What could happen? I think a lot of times as leaders, we not what could happen. We're like, what might go wrong? You know, that's a leader, and we have some directors and some team leaders who like, if I take this little risk, like what could go wrong? I'm like, no. Be curious enough to say what could go right. I think that's the key in getting better every single day. And I know I'm one, Alex, I'm almost to a fault of wanting to get better. We'll be at the top of the chain in certain areas. And I'm like, okay, but is that our best? And so I'm constantly pushing to get a little bit better each and every day. We have, a saying, it's progress, not perfection. I'm not about, okay, let's be perfect. Nobody's perfect. No organization's perfect. But let's see progress. And with progress is risk taking.
And I think a couple of things just to add to that, I think when we take on the mindset that leadership is a journey with no destination, when you look at that means there's no such thing as perfection. If there's no perfection, kind of says that there's an end point, there's a maximum, and if we believe there's no maximum, then it's an ongoing journey. Number one. Number two, I feel like one of the things that stop people from, or I guess one of the things that people should look at in terms of taking risk, you have to learn to be agile when taking a risk, because and we've said this, and I think both of us share this phrasing. It's, we're married to the vision, however we flirt with the methods. And I think that's what risk taking is all about. When you go out to take a risk, you're trying to address an issue, or you're trying to address something that, hey, we've got this vision and we've gotten to a certain area, we got to a certain place in this area of the business that demands that we do something a little bit more. So we're going to take a risk. And so that whatever the risk looked like at the time might need to change, but we're still trying to satisfy chasing what the vision is giving us. And so I think that agility piece, and being adaptable, being able to be flexible, being able to pivot is going to be, it's one of those things that's very important when it comes down to taking risk.
I'm laughing that you said the word pivot, because while you were like, when you first said that first one or two sentences, I was like, that means that's what a pivot is. Like, we got to agile means we got to, at some point, we got to pivot and be able to pivot pretty quickly. And I think too, risks that I've taken, I write down, okay, what am I looking for? What's the outcome I'm looking for? But I also sometimes write down 2 or 3 pivots, or 2 or 3 ways that I can work through a situation, because I know, hey, if I do this, this might happen. Okay, let me be quick to be able to pivot. I already have I've thought through a process for that, or I've thought through a system for that. It's not just, oh, let me go take this risk, and I haven't thought through all of these things that could happen. So I think that is pretty key in risk taking.
I think just to add to that, sorry, I think Tim Tassopoulos said it very good, making a strategic bet. Like, you're not just going out there and making a bet all just willy-nilly. You're actually taking, and it's very biblical. I think and I'm gonna mess this up, this phrasing of this, but it's like, if you're gonna go build a bridge, what man doesn't account for the cost of going build it. Like, sure, you want to go do it, whatever it is. We're not building a bridge, but whatever that our bridge is, there's things that we want to do in that regard, and we got to figure out, well, what are the costs going to be? Now, we can't get so consumed of counting the cost that we don't go towards action. Once we get enough general information to go, let's go. But you got to have some wisdom there in getting that information accumulated. I agree with that for sure. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that was good. I think that's a lot of times too, leaders, they get stuck in the analyzing phase, and the action phase just never happens. It's like it gets almost over analyzed. I have a lot of leaders in our organization who they're really great analyzers. They come like they're even really great brainstormers. And you'll say, hey, here's the outcome we're looking for, and they have all these ideas, and I'm like, okay, which one of those are we going to actually do? And that's where it's like, I don't know. Which one should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. That's what I want you to decide is which one of those should we do? Give me a time frame, give me the action plan, and let's go make it happen. And so I think a lot of times we just kind of get caught in that, let me think through it. Let me come up with a plan. In reality, a plan is really great, but a plan with no action, it's like that motion versus action. Have you ever heard that, Alex, where it's like there's a lot of motion happening, but not a lot of action? There's a big difference between motion and action.
Well, I think Denzel Washington has a quote that said, don't get caught being busy versus being productive. It's like, you can be busy. You can be on the treadmill going, doing a lot of work, but standing still, versus going forward, even though that in real life, that's a good thing. If you're on the treadmill, I don't want nobody to take that and misconstrue that, but I'm just saying though, it's just the illustration of it for sure. No, but continue.
No, it's been really great. I just wanted to put, a little bit out there about risk taking. It's something that I've been really thinking through and how to get my leaders to be better risk takers. And I think you guys out there, like, this is just a little message to get you to go out there and take that next risk. And we love to hear about whatever risk it is and, give you some feedback on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great segue to saying visit tpenow.com and book a discovery call. If you want to get paired up with Javonna, you believe that Javonna said some things today that sparked your interest, that made you want to take a next step and pivot into your leadership journey, I would definitely love to facilitate a conversation that will get you connected with her. She's eager to serve you and help you get to the next level in your leadership. Also, don't forget, we have our free virtual leadership training coming up on October 29th at 8 p.m. You can register at tpenow.com. That's tpenow.com. It's absolutely free. We'll love to be able to connect with you. A few of our coaches, myself and some others, will be presenting. Ashley and Neff will be there. Javonna will be there in spirit. Well, actually, I think she'll literally be there, but she won't be participating with us. But we love to see you guys join us. And until next time, TPE family.
Hey guys, what's
peace.
up? It's your friend, Pastor John R. Adolph from the Antioch Church in Beaumont, Texas. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe this channel so you can continue to pivot into your next.